mad. Right here on the Big Talker Network, bigtalker.live, bigtalker.live. Download the app for the Android and iOS devices. I promise you'll love it. It's a way of life. You can peruse the website for our schedule of content and send us an email with any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, or questions you may have. We can't improve without your help. Hey, welcome back to the Asylum. It's another test bed day. So far, so good. Wonderful to have Andrew back from his amazing vacation. Lots of graduations and celebrations happening up in his neck of the woods. Very good to have his show back today. It was refreshing, right? We don't get such good information from he and Dr. Siegel. Quite a discussion on the current events, one of which I find a little difficult to rally behind. Again, I think the solution to all of this is readdressing, assessing some sort of somehow revisiting what it is our education system does to our children. We've turned them into little selfish, self-centered, unable to deal with anything challenging or confrontational. That's not very pretty. All right, it makes for very ugly humans who don't do a very good job of, paying attention. And as such, whenever they run into something they're not used to, hey, guess what they're going to do? They're going to act out. That's right. They don't know how to fight, right? Like when we were kids, you go knock somebody's tooth out and, then you're fine, right? The next day you get together and you're, having Mountain Dew together. Yeah, Keith is sending me some really interesting... That's pretty interesting. All right, here's a subject for you, just for fun, since it's a slow morning. And I totally get this. If you're a bear, not an American bear, but a maybe a black bear or a British bear. What kind of bear was this? This was a... I don't know if they identify the bear. Nope, apparently not. So, coming out of England somewhere. No, where's this? UPI. Odd news, music teacher plays trombone to scare bear away from school. British Columbia music teacher who saw a bear lurking outside the school where he works managed to drive the animal away by playing the trombone. Tristan Clausen, a music teacher at St. John's Academy in Shawnigan Lake, said he was alerted to the presence of a bear sniffing around the wooden structure that houses the trash cans outside the school. Clausen said another teacher attempted to scare the bear away by banging on a door. I thought, I can do better than that. And I reached for my bone and went out. Video recorded by a student shows the bear becomes startled by Clausen's playing and hurriedly leave the area. He had a lot of attention in my direction and was figuring out what to do and decided discretion was the better part of valor. He told Czech News, I'm trying not to take it personally. That's pretty awesome. The same thing happened whenever I pulled out my guitar to play for the kids. They would run away. They did not want to hear another Disney or Muppet song. And I was learning them just for them, right? It's like you're not going to get behind some of the Frank Zappa or some of the, other material that I play. So here's some that's already on your, mixtape, if you call that for kids. Oh, look, Florida's in the news. Let's see what this one's about. This has got to be awesome. Florida and adult stuff. Okay, New York Post. Salim Algar, plans for racy adult circus get canned in Florida town. Cirque Italia, is that what they're calling? Paranormal Cirque neighbors in a small express concern over the gory circus. Okay, the culture wars have officially entered the Big Top. A Florida county unanimously told an R-rated circus to pack up its tent this week, with some locals arguing that it would have brought filth to their small town. You're in Florida, man. You're like third in the planet for porn, so shut up. You got Ron DeSantis. I mean, that's about as R-rated as you can get. Now you're all upset they're going to bring filth to their small town. Look at the ground. Look at all the masks that are on the ground in your parking lot, and you're going to tell me this is the filth you're worried about? This is filth you have to pay to enter, by the way. So if you don't want to see filth, save your money. Simple as that. You don't like it, change the channel. You silly son of a... Anyway, dubbed paranormal by parent group Cirque Italia, the circus applied for a zoning change for a 5-acre parcel that would have allowed it to develop a permanent site in Oneko, or however it's pronounced. But Manatee County commissioners, they named their county after that animal? Okay, but Manatee County commissioners received a pile of complaints about both the logistics and content of the circus leading up to a Thursday vote. Speaking at that meeting, local pastor, another Sky Daddy talker, Bill Bailey, said the production included a barking dog boy possessed by a demon and a woman hanging upside down by her hair. You can't... How do you hang upside down by your hair? That's... The hair is on top of your head. And according to this photograph, she is lifted by the top. She's not upside down. What is wrong with these people? Do they not know? I mean, are we just going to flip up, down, left, right, men, women, boy, girl? Those elements were in addition to blood, gore, and other filth, Bailey said, according to reports. Okay, I guess you guys have never seen Hellraiser. What brings me here today is the possibility of an R-rated circus coming to our neighborhood, he said. It rhymes with a capital T with chance of trouble, if you remember that from Oklahoma. But anyway, Bailey later told the Post that a slew of residents voiced concerns about the nature of the production. Wary of setting off culture war alarms, Manatee County, look at that, County Commissioner George Cruz said he backed the permit denial, but stressed that it was based on environmental concerns rather than the production itself. Yeah, you can hide that any way you want, but it ain't working. I'm not going to get into what they are doing in this tent, Cruz said, according to the outlet. I know you all want to, and that's what got you all here, but I don't need the ACLU coming after me and saying I'm fighting someone's First Amendment rights. So yeah, like usual, you got to find some other way to deny somebody their fair share. Yeah, it sounds American. You have the right to do anything you want until we find some way to shut it down without saying, hey, we're taking away your rights. But we're taking away your rights. We're just not saying we're taking away your rights. We're going to say that it's an environmental issue. Because again, you could always not go. That's an option. Imagine that. Bailey told the Post he was less concerned about the official rationale for the vote than the ultimate outcome. See? He's at least admitting it. I had to come up with something else so the ACLU isn't coming after me, but the fact that we shut it down is the important part, whether you disagree with the gore or whatever. A win is a win, he said. I'm thankful to the commission for standing up for their neighbors. Again, Manatee County Commissioner George Cruz said the decision was based on environmental concerns rather than the production itself. I have a feeling this production is less of an environmental stressor than Amber Heard. Okay, so really? The Florida-based production is prohibited for anyone under 13, and those under 17 must be accompanied by a parent, according to the show's website. Under this clown castle, the black and red big top, acrobats of the air, illusionists, freaks, mysterious creatures, and all the elements that make one think of a normal circus, but that of normal has very little. That make one think of a normal circus, but that of normal has very little. I guess I don't understand. The company can resubmit a revised application to local officials. Cirque Italia declined to comment because there's nothing nice to say about the white people in Florida that are, basically finding a way to skirt your rights and calling it some sort of environmental issue. Really? But we'll spill, and you got everything up. How do you hang a woman upside down by her hair? And look at the photograph. Oh, look, she's being lifted by her hair right side up. So far, Mr. Alger, or maybe it's Ms. Alger, I don't know. You got it all wrong. You got it upside down, literally. Neighbors in the small Florida town expressed concern over the gory circus. Yeah, well, you might as well just not watch any action movies for a while, or the rest of your life. That's got to be aggravating for the people of Florida. You can't even enjoy your own entertainment. If you want to know why people are shooting up America, this is it. We're not allowed to go to shows anymore, or to even have shows that we enjoy, because some Karen somewhere, and of course they're not even going to address the fact that they don't like that there's a little bit of gay and a little bit of gore and a little bit of blood, and maybe they don't, it's stage blood, you idiot. But no, we're going to take away your ability to even enjoy this, so yeah, there's no way to express yourself. There's no freedom of expression. It has been thwarted by Mr. Cruz and, of course, the rest of Karens in Manatee, right? Which I'm guessing they must have named it properly, because I'm betting there are a bunch of obese, low-intelligence people that they are going to, oh, my God, the Cirque Italia. There's a lot of stuff going on that I don't agree with and I don't like, but I tell you what, I keep the money in my pocket and I don't go in there. Right? That's how you vote. But to have something completely closed down from the city side or the county side of this thing, right? I bet you'll put 5 acres up there to sell guns, though, right? I mean, if I were to put up a 5-acre a petition or proposal to build a 5-acre large gun shop in Florida, they would be all over it. They would absolutely love it. But R-rated filth, oh my God, we can't have that. The mouse might get upset. That's what we're headed for, folks. You believe it? I do. Because I know it's real. I know it's really happening. I have been there. Okay, I need to check this. Because we have more news stories coming up, so, don't flip. We'll be back once I discover what the heck happened here. Because I know everything else is working, so barring all other things being equal and such, why is this not? I don't want to have to take that by phone call. That would absolutely be horrible. Hey. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Ha! I guess not. Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. Video's all straight. Yeah, that's off. And no, everything seems to be working here, but no. All right. I might just have to take a quick break here and try this again. Huh. Isn't that awesome? Gotta love it when a plan comes together. Try it one more time. Hey. No. Okay, so I tell you what, we're gonna do a quick break while I figure out what happened here. I think something has broken. I'm not entirely sure what it was. But have no fear. The Big Talker will be right back after these messages. It'll be glorious, and we might even have friends with us. We'll see what happens. So,
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. 2 people have been charged with assault and battery after a fight on the Carolina Beach Boardwalk. It broke out around 6:30 Saturday night, and it was all caught on camera, later going viral online. Several people were involved before officers arrived. The town of Carolina Beach says the fight stemmed from an earlier encounter over parking. Both 70-year-old Johnny Arnett and 57-year-old Robin Arnett of Carolina Beach are charged. The new Hanover County Board of Commissioners has unanimously approved a $508 million balanced budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. The budget takes effect July 1st and includes a 2-cent decrease in the property tax rate from 47.5 cents to 45.5 cents per $100 value. More than 28% of the county's $421 million general fund is allotted to support new Hanover County schools. And Wilmington City Council will vote on its budget tonight after an agenda briefing yesterday. They talked about how to expand the local tax base without raising taxes. City staff says one way to do that would use a new GIS map tool. The map identifies vacant properties within county and city limits which could be better used or developed. Staff says there's not much room to expand within the county limits. They identified more than 3,000 parcels of land that could be developed within the area's limits, but most of them are very small. UNCW and other North Carolina universities are making it easier for military students to earn college credit for their training. The UNC system will form a database that permits military-affiliated students and university personnel to quickly determine the appropriate credit and apply it accordingly. Awarded credits will be course-specific, allowing students to finish their degrees while using VA benefits. The regulation applies to all 16 universities in the UNC system, which serves more than 21,000 veterans and active duty personnel. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
I'm meteorologist Matthew Huddleston with your WWAY Storm Track 3 AccuWeather forecast. Expect a very nice end to your Monday evening. Mostly clear skies, but warmer overnight than it was last night. Lows tonight only in the middle and upper 60s. We'll add a few more clouds to the mix heading into the day on Tuesday. Partly cloudy skies during your afternoon. A very small chance of a scattered shower or storm. Otherwise, a lot warmer with highs in the middle to upper 80s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
My name is Brian Wilson. I'm running for District Court Judge. During my lifetime, I've gone from protecting your God-given and constitutional freedoms as a combat vet of the U.S. military to working locally as a carpenter building homes while I worked my way through college. For the past 17 years, I've been protecting and defending your constitutional rights in the courtroom. I'm currently protecting our rights of our most vulnerable, our children, as the guardian ad litem attorney advocate for the children of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen County. I've spent my career serving our country, our state, and our communities, so I ask that you continue your confidence by voting for me, Brian Wilson, in the primary elections on May 17th. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Yael Osowski.
And I'm David Clement.
We're the host of Consumer Choice Radio, broadcasting every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Consumer Choice Radio is a weekly conversation featuring the latest news, interviews, and expert analysis that covers consumer topics from around the world.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
Join Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to program whenever you want, however you want by asking for Big Talker.
Oh. That's right. The Asylum is back on the Big Talker Network this morning. Your asylum your refuge in a world gone mad. That's what an asylum is. You don't have to be crazy to be here, but, it helps. Or maybe it just feels like you're going crazy because the world has lost their frickin' mind. And we seem to be a little unbalanced, like the fact that we can't even have a decent gore circus because Karen of Florida Karen. Florida is like the Karen of the United States or something right now. I don't know. But it's aggravating. So more fun news. to get your blood going in the morning. How about a pierogi pilferer? This will go over well with some of my friends. I was in a band where I think I was the only non-Polish, right? We had a Wade, a Milkarski, and a Witkowski. And I was the only one that didn't have the indoctrination of so much of the pierogi. Apparently, June 2nd, a burglar broke into a Pennsylvania residence. This is coming from Pennsylvania. I don't have an author. I don't know why. Police pursue Pennsylvania pierogi pilferer. Burglar only stole bag of frozen dumpling delicacies, cops say. There we go. June 2nd. Burglar broke into a Pennsylvania residence and only stole a bag of pierogies valued at $10. The suspects, cops say, last month burglarized the apartment of Tyler White, 26, who lives in Trout Run, a village 15 miles from Williamsport. The thief made off with a 5-pound bag of Mrs. T's brand of pierogies. According to a Pennsylvania State Police report, investigators valued the pilfered pierogies at $10. $10 no hala. In addition to stealing the frozen pierogies on May 20, the burglar caused minor damage to the drywall in the home's kitchen. Investigation is ongoing. So, frozen pierogies are apparently able to do damage to drywall, or is there some connection they did not complete in that? And the investigation is ongoing, so maybe we'll find out later what happened to the pierogies. Founded in 1952, the Pennsylvania-based Mrs. T's Pierogies describes itself as the largest provider of pierogies in the country, offering many new flavor combinations, as well as the original classics. The pierogies are equally amazing: boiled, baked, sautéed, grilled, air-fried, or tossed in a slow cooker, according to the firm's website, which is pretty ridiculous. So, to make the top news in, Pennsylvania, it's either Philadelphia, right? If we were anywhere near Philadelphia, are we in Philadelphia? It just says Pennsylvania. Trout Run from Williamsport. Okay. So this must be a small town compared to what happened in Philly over the last few weeks. I mean, carjackings, the security footage of, they just don't care. They're blowing stuff up just for fun. Uh-oh. If you're mad at your girl, man, you got to come up with some other plans. Coming out of Fox, KDFW, Dallas, Texas, Stephen Dial writes this up. Again, I'm guessing there's got to be something in the water in Texas, or so, I don't know, man. The cops are wusses. 19-year-old Twinkie bullies are, gun-toting. Anyway, Dallas, 21-year-old man who police say broke into the Dallas Museum of Art, destroying $5 million worth of ancient artifacts, reportedly said he did it because he was mad at his girl. Okay, not a possession. Let's start there. This happened just before 10 p.m. on Wednesday when a spokeswoman for the museum said someone forcibly entered the museum. Police later identified the suspect as Brian Hernandez, who was taken into custody. Stop that. Oh, you're really starting to piss me off, computer. Oh, you're really starting to upset me. Police later identified the suspect as Brian Hernandez, who was taken into custody shortly after leaving the scene. He has been charged with criminal mischief. Dallas police said he had evaded security guards at the museum, smashed glass casings, and destroyed ancient Greek items, at least one of which was from 450 BC. The Dallas Museum of Art is still open to the public, but certain parts are closed due to the damage. Many who went to the museum Thursday didn't know what happened until they arrived. Honestly, it's really saddening. I'm a big fan of DMA. It has such historical art. It's a tragic event to the whole Dallas community, and we hope they can recover. No, there's no recovering. It's like smashing a plate. It'll never be the plate again. It'll be a glued together piece of crap that'll look like the plate that was smashed. But hopefully they smash this guy. I mean, eye for an eye, whatever. Let's see. Court documents state that the surveillance cameras caught a man with a metal chair in his hand at the door. Shortly after a 911 call from inside the museum, the dispatcher told investigators the person admitted he broke in. It was someone that seemed to be angry, and his purpose was to get his anger exercised with the smashing anything that he could find of glass, said Austin Arteaga, who is with the Dallas Museum of Art. That's, by the way, it's DMA, not MDMA. That'd be Dallas Museum of Art, which is amazing. It's not a bunch of, guns. The responding security guard told police he asked Hernandez why he broke. That's it. Just why he broke. Why he broke in, why he broke stuff. And Hernandez's alleged response was that he was mad at his girl, so he broke in and started destroying property. The most expensive items destroyed were a 6th century Greek vase and a red figure Pyxis that dates back to 450 BC. He went through other spaces and did not hurt any other works, didn't touch anything, didn't have the intention of stealing anything. It was just his anger that drove the person to do what it did. It did what it did, not he, it. Again, we have removed the humanity of the person. Ortega said the alleged girl Hernandez was mad at was not an employee or associated with the museum. We don't have any connection that we know of or that person related to the Dallas Museum of Art, Ortega added. Recently, a man protesting climate change threw a cake at the Mona Lisa on display. I mean, there's another brilliant move. The frame protected the actual painting from being damaged. Ortega says there's never been any real damage to the Dallas Museum of Art until now. Well, I mean, it depends. Some of the art in there may be doing the real damage, Karen. This is something that we've been seeing recently on a different level. You know, the Mona Lisa being attacked at the Louvre. But we have a marvelous record of 120 years when we never suffer any kind of situation like this. Yeah, well, start over. It's now 0. Museum officials think this was just a man acting out. Other items like a laptop and glass cases were also destroyed. Okay, so acting out is not something that we accept. Okay, this is not acceptable behavior. And this little jerk should be sent to prison for a very long time until he becomes somebody's girl. And then he'll understand that being mad at your girl, there's two sides to it. And he's going to get smashed the entire time that his, owner, right? Because apparently the way he was mad at his girl, right? You don't own a girl like you own a car. So yeah, if you're mad, be mad. Learn how to handle it in a proper manner. Oh, shoot. Okay, hang on. I'm working on it. I need this tab. Goodness. Here we are. I need to leave that window just open because my computer's a little slow. I'm not sure which is slower, me or the computer. Here we go. Look at that. It doesn't auto-admit. I can't wait till I change that. That's going to be ridiculous. Good morning. Hey, look at that. If I tap this, I have my friend Andrew on here. How are you doing, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
It is very good to hear your voice. Welcome back to the North Kakalaka environment here. I understand you went to Virginia, had a little bit too much celebration happening.
No, I was just went to the VA, so no big deal.
No big deal, and you're back and you're rocking, and you had a heck of a show this morning with Dr. Siegel. You went in a different direction than I expected.
Yeah, we were trying to think of some way to cover that, and I thought he did a real good job on it. And we're always looking for some way to talk about something at a different angle, and I thought he did a great job with that.
He did. He really did. The angle you guys, or the tact you all took, was more about looking at the individual claims made by other countries and other groups that are saying, if we did this, why does Japan not have this problem? Why does Singapore not have this problem? One of the stats he brought out I thought was important and missed in a lot of ways, that the greatest number of bad from guns, firearms, is in suicides, actually, not in homicides and murder. So getting that part straightened out, I still think that my proposal would eliminate the need for drug addictions, right? Nobody would be addicted if they didn't have something to hide from. Same with shooting and acting out. And this guy who went into the Dallas Museum of Art and smashed $5 million worth of antique Greek vases. How do we, I think there's something underlying this. We would not have the high suicide rates if we had more of an accepted, a more inclusive? I don't know what the term is. We can identify it and not dehumanize them when we take them into public school.
Well, the internal debate here is, you're trying to legislate something that's a tiny minority, but it affects the majority. So the majority of people are law-abiding citizens.
Yep.
And the majority of gun owners are law-abiding citizens. So if you pass a law, it doesn't really affect the outlaws because they're not gonna follow the law anyway. But it affects the folks that are law-abiding anyway. So that's the internal debate. And the same thing goes with your rights and freedom when it comes to things like mental health or it comes to whatever else. But that's the debate. And then the thing is people want to use stats, but the great Vince Scully said, stats and statistics are a lot like a light post with a drunk. You think it's holding you up, but really it's just something for you to lean on. It's not really you think it's illumination, but all you're really doing is holding yourself up with it. So you can make the stats say almost anything you want to. So that's why I appreciated Michael going through it by the stats and then going that route with it is like, okay, here's what the stats actually say.
Right. Does this claim actually meet with, which I thought was a great way of doing it, where you presented a claim and he was able to say yes or no, or as you put it, it depends on your definition of is.
Yeah, the old Clintonism.
But
no, we thought that was a good tack to take on it, and it's a different way to talk about it because part of turning down the noise is you gotta work off a shared basis of facts before you can come to an understanding on something, and nobody's working off the same basis of facts here. It's all how people feel and their emotions, and I get it; it's an emotional issue, but unless you have a shared data set of this is what the deal is, you're never going to get any kind of a resolution, and you're certainly never going to resolve anything, and you're not going to come to any kind of a negotiation because you got to start on the same plane of truth, and nobody's on that right now. Everybody's just throwing numbers at each other, and everybody's just throwing emotions at each other. So it's at least trying to do it that way.
Now, another part of your show this morning, which I thought was touching, and it seemed to be missed at the federal level all the way around, was the recognition of the D-Day invasion. You actually,
yeah, we didn't do a show yesterday. I wasn't up to it, so we missed the D-Day. So I had this
apparently
whole thing
Biden
for
wasn't up to
out.
it either.
Yeah, I had this whole thing laid out for it, but I wanted to do that part of it. So we did FDR's Mighty Endeavor speech, is what it's usually called, but really it's his D-Day. Can you imagine if the President of the United States led the nation in prayer on the radio, what the reaction would be now? People would lose their minds. But it's just one of the great speeches of all time, as far as a concise statement of who America is, what we do when we do go to war in other places, what it means, why we do it, and what it costs us. And it's really concise. I think the whole thing's only like 5 minutes. It's like 6 minutes with the both ends on it.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people have never actually heard it.
I have not. I do remember the legacy, the myth of the fireside chats, of which this was one, yes?
Yes, this was one of the fireside chats. Remember, nobody knew the D-Day invasion was happening. So when he announced this came out of the clear blue sky to the American people. You don't have the internet. You don't have newspaper coverage is blocked out. Because of the time difference, the invasion had already gone off. That's why he was okay announcing this on the radio.
And even
because
said
of the time difference.
It has gone successfully so far. I
Right.
thought that was prescient that he would actually include that to say, it's the invasion is happening right now as we speak, and so far it's going well.
Yeah, with the time difference, they knew they had the beaches. When he gave the address, they hadn't pushed out from the beaches yet, but they knew they had the beaches. So they knew it wasn't a total disaster. They weren't going to get thrown back into the sea. But it was very much in doubt. So, he was going out on a limb a little bit. But that's how America found out that we had invaded Europe. That's how we found out that we were on the continent. So it came out of clear blue sky. So everybody's tuning in for the normal fireside chat, and then he drops that bomb on him. And he chose to do it. His son-in-law actually wrote this with him. I forget the gentleman's name. But he wrote this speech, and his son-in-law helped write him, who wrote a lot of these speeches. I just thought it was an amazing piece of rhetoric.
It was, and the way it's a prayer as well as a news release, if you will, where it seems like there was made aware of what was happening, as well as you're being made aware of what's actually happening as far as the actual military operation, but he's also praying for their safe, return, and praying that, the right side of history would come together and that sort of thing. I think West Virginia just went offline, which is appropriate. I'm a little late for a commercial anyway, so we're going to get that straightened out, and when we come back, we will have more fantastic discussions on what it's like to be an American in America in the 21st century. So don't go nowhere. The Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, will be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Keeping Southport informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Government has become too big, too overtaxing, and is constantly overregulating every aspect of your life.
If you agree with that, tune into Consumer Choice Radio every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM. With me, Yael Osowski.
And me, David Clement. For an hour, you'll get expert analysis on what the government is sinking its teeth into next, and how you, as a consumer, can push back.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Herd Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Herd Tell.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. 2 people have been charged with assault and battery after a fight on the Carolina Beach Boardwalk. It broke out around 6:30 Saturday night, and it was all caught on camera, later going viral online. Several people were involved before officers arrived. The town of Carolina Beach says the fight stemmed from an earlier encounter over parking. Both 70-year-old Johnny Arnett and 57-year-old Robin Arnett of Carolina Beach are charged. The new Hanover County Board of Commissioners has unanimously approved a $508 million balanced budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. The budget takes effect July 1st and includes a 2-cent decrease in the property tax rate from 47.5 cents to 45.5 cents per $100 value. More than 28% of the county's $421 million general fund is allotted to support new Hanover County schools. And Wilmington City Council will vote on its budget tonight after an agenda briefing yesterday. They talked about how to expand the local tax base without raising taxes. City staff says one way to do that would use a new GIS map tool. The map identifies vacant properties within county and city limits which could be better used or developed. Staff says there's not much room to expand within the county limits. They identified more than 3,000 parcels of land that could be developed within the area's limits, but most of them are very small. UNCW and other North Carolina universities are making it easier for military students to earn college credit for their training. The UNC system will form a database that permits military-affiliated students and university personnel to quickly determine the appropriate credit and apply it accordingly. Awarded credits will be course-specific, allowing students to finish their degrees while using VA benefits. The regulation applies to all 16 universities in the UNC system, which serves more than 21,000 veterans and active duty personnel. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
I'm meteorologist Matthew Huddleston with your WWAY Storm Track 3 AccuWeather forecast. Expect a very nice end to your Monday evening. Mostly clear skies, but warmer overnight than it was last night. Lows tonight only in the middle and upper 60s. We'll add a few more clouds to the mix heading into the day on Tuesday. Partly cloudy skies during your afternoon. A very small chance of a scattered shower or storm. Otherwise, a lot warmer with highs in the middle to upper 80s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
This is Radio Free Dixie. Diversity is a buzzword today, but little is known about the truly diverse nature of the Confederate States of America. The Sons of Confederate Veterans want you to know about the religious diversity in the Old South. Many people think of Dixie as a society based on the Protestant religion. Yet, during the War for Southern Independence, the South's first two heroes, General Beauregard and Admiral Sims, were Roman Catholics, and the Confederate Secretary of State was Jewish. Within the Confederate Army, chaplains of various faiths worked with soldiers of various faiths. The Sons of Confederate Veterans invite you to learn the truth about your Southern heritage and join with us to make Dixie great again. Please visit us at makedixie.greatagain.org. That's makedixie.greatagain.org.
Listen to Tom Goolsby on The Chad Adams Show.
People with common sense know that the entire theory of socialism is one big lie.
The Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Welcome back to the Asylum. Your refuge in a world gone absolutely mad. Right here on the Big Talker. BigTalker.live is the website. That's right. Peruse our content schedule. Download the app for Android and iOS devices. You can send us an email with any comments, questions, concerns, critiques, or compliments you may have. We cannot improve without your help. That's right. The Big Talker is looking to you to improve. I mean, feedback is always a good thing. I mean, look what it did for Jimi Hendrix, right? Well, continuing in our disdain for Texas. Keep in mind, I was born in New Mexico, and Texas is one of the worst places ever. Right? That's to us. I mean, look what happened to Cancun and the freeze over of the electric grid. The Dallas Museum of Art with a guy acting out, smashing $5 million worth of historic artifacts that just... Well, now, the outrageous and the outlandish continue in the land of Texas. It must be in the water. Coming out of NBC in Montana, I don't know why. Texas is big enough to have their own damn network. But anyway, Jessica Botello, Cranston, Rhode Island. How this is going. It's a Texas woman. So anyway, a 30-year-old woman got pregnant while she was already pregnant and gave birth to twin boys. According to Daily Mail, the online publications noted Kara Winhold, who lives in Texas, was 1 week pregnant when she became pregnant again. The babies named Colson and Caden were born October 25th after Winhold experienced 3 miscarriages. The mother described the babies as rainbow twins on social media as a rainbow baby is a term often used to describe an infant born following a miscarriage, stillbirth, or natural death. Daily Mail noted Winhold's babies were the result of superfetation, or when a second new pregnancy occurs during an initial pregnancy. Quoting the mother, "I got pregnant while I was already pregnant. I said to the doctor what happened. He wasn't there the first time. What's going on?" She said that most likely I ovulated twice, released 2 eggs, and they got fertilized at different times about a week apart. Winhold has shared multiple public images of the babies on Instagram and TikTok, because that's how we make money nowadays. Nobody works. We all just... Anyway. Videos on TikTok show the babies as newborns. One video shows them smiling with Winhold's husband, Blake, while she bops their noses and cheeks in other videos. All I have to say, it's been a blur, but a wonderful ride. I made these humans in onesies. Okay. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we would have 6-month-old twins. The mother captioned another photo. They're perfect and they love each other so much I could stare at them all day. Weinhold also has another child, a toddler named Wyatt, who she posts photos of as well. Some of the images include all 3 children. A video shows Wyatt meeting his brothers for the first time. Is this your brother? Blake says to Wyatt as the boy giggles. Weinhold's most recent Instagram post was a video of Coulson waving. She also shared photos on holidays, Easter, Sunday, Mother's Day, declaring her affection. And you will get all the attention you want to my loves. Oh, it sounds like something out of, My Precious. Cranston, Rhode Island, Montana, and Texas. It took all that just to find out that it is possible to, through or by way of superfetation, to get pregnant twice. Just letting you know, ladies, if you didn't have enough to deal with, here's one more. Enjoy. That was my gift to you. I don't know. I think I think Fayetteville's under attack, right? I mean, we learned this from Star Wars. If they're destroying our communications, that can only mean one thing: an invasion. So, Fayetteville could be getting invaded right now. Burns. It burns. It burns. This is hilarious. There we go. Go away. mlive.com. I'm not sure how this came into my reality. I never knew garbage trucks smoked. But apparently they do. I guess if you're over 18, anybody can smoke. Ann Arbor, Michigan, I guess. Is this where this is happening? People don't write news stories like they used to. Like I knew where my byline was and all that. Nobody even knows what a byline is anymore. They probably think it's some sort of experimental sexual thing. No, a byline is, who wrote it and where they're from. Smoking garbage truck dumps hot trash in Ann Arbor's Burns Park. Get it, Burns Park? Compost with confidence on the side of the truck. Of course, compost. Anyway, Ann Arbor, Michigan. A steaming pile of garbage was briefly dumped on the roadway leading into Burns Park Wednesday morning after a garbage truck driver noticed smoke coming from his truck. Fire crews were called at 9:42 in the morning on June 1st to the entrance of the Ann Arbor Park for a reported garbage truck fire. The truck's driver reported seeing smoke coming from the back of the truck and immediately pulled over into the park's roadway and partially dumped the content of the truck's compactor onto the road. Crews arrived and hosed down the smoldering trash. There were no injuries or damage to the vehicle reported. It is unclear exactly what happened to spark the fire, officials said. But all the homeless in the area now have a barbecue at Burns Park. It might be a little burnt. Yeah. Put a little roadkill on that. But yeah, there are times that, we don't as human beings seem to fully grasp the severity of chemical interactions, some of which may be energetically exothermic. That's the way scientists describe a chemical explosion. Energetic exothermic reaction. I have to go through all the words in my head each time, right? So when a primer on a bullet is hit, it starts a reaction that converts the chemical energy into kinetic energy, and that process is an incredibly energetic exothermic reaction. It generates a lot of heat very, very quickly. Now, just think about it. Anybody who's ever had like a big pile of composting leaves in the backyard, it gets really, really hot. It is not uncommon for compost piles to burst into flames. And of course, that can be exact, and that's just natural components decomposing, right? And methane, which is incredibly flammable when introduced into an oxygenated environment. So, yeah, careful what you toss. Don't mix your chemicals, and disposing of chemicals in the proper way will prevent your trash guy from getting set on fire. Stop it, computer. You're really starting to piss me off this morning. My goodness. All right. So, Fayetteville's offline. Florida is not allowed to have adult entertainment anymore. Pennsylvania is concerned about pierogi pilferers and not the, amazing number of carjackings and shootings going on there, but okay. I'm going to guess what state this one is. This one's going to be Florida or Texas. Oh, I missed. This one comes out of, is this São Paulo? Yes, Brazil. OddityCentral.com, person writing this won't put their name on it. There's no real byline, you idiot. It's just, anyway, so let's have some fun. Man allegedly kidnaps ex-girlfriend, forcefully tattoos his name on her face. A Brazilian man has been accused of kidnapping his ex-girlfriend and tattooing his name on the side of her face as revenge for breaking up with him. Tayane Caldas, an 18-year-old woman from Brazilian state of São Paulo, was on her way to school last Friday when she was approached by her ex-boyfriend, Gabriel Coelho, who forced her to get into his car, afraid she would be attacked if she didn't comply. The young woman got into the vehicle and was taken to her ex's home in the municipality of Taubaté. There, the 20-year-old Coelho tattooed his full name on the girl's right side of the face from her ear down to her chin. Although he doesn't deny doing the tattoo, Gabriel claims that Tayane was more than happy to let him do it. Following day, Tayane's mother filed a missing persons report with the local police and managed to track her down to this guy's residence. She took her daughter home and encouraged her to press charges against the abusive ex-boyfriend instead of simply covering up her new face tattoo and several bruises. Gabriel Coelho was taken into custody on Saturday despite his father backing up the claim that Tayane was happy to let him tattoo his whole name on her face. Apart from his ex-girlfriend's new accusation, he will also serve time for not complying with 2 restraining orders filed by Caldas, one in 2021 and another this year. I am afraid of him, Caldas told TV Band Vale. The law these days, everyone knows he doesn't stay in jail for long, and with this whole situation, I'm afraid of him. After Tian Caldas' lawyers shared her horrific ordeal online, a number of Brazilian influencers and tattoo removal shops joined forces to help her. The 18-year-old attended her first laser removal session last Wednesday in an attempt to erase the tattoo from her face. She is allegedly trying to remove 2 other tattoos of Coelho's name from her body. So apparently it's not just an American thing. Everybody around the world thinks that women are property, and that's got to change. Right? I mean, this is what 4-year-olds do to their underwear so they don't get lost when they poop themselves at school. You don't do this to someone. You can do it to yourself, but imposing this will on someone else is... I really don't think that's the Brazilian way of doing things, so... Anyway, the two started dating in 2019, and at first everything was going well. Of course, well, about a year after the beginning of the relationship, Coelho, a tattoo artist, started having fits of jealousy and attacking the young woman, at which time her mother convinced her to leave him. The two broke up for 8 months and got back together after he promised he wouldn't hit her anymore. He broke his promise, and this time, Tayane asked for a restraining order. The girl's parents also tried sending her to São Paulo for a few months, but as soon as she returned to Taubaté, her ex started threatening her again. Oh, and all the comments are about how to make money doing TikTok. You guys are horrible. Horrible. We are horrible human beings. Okay, top of the hour. You know what? Yeah. Yeah, I like that. All right, so, top of the hour. The Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. We'll be right back after this top of the hour break. So do me a favor. Don't go nowhere. It's going to get rough when we get back.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. 2 people have been charged with assault and battery after a fight on the Carolina Beach Boardwalk. It broke out around 6:30 Saturday night, and it was all caught on camera, later going viral online. Several people were involved before officers arrived. The town of Carolina Beach says the fight stemmed from an earlier encounter over parking. Both 70-year-old Johnny Arnett and 57-year-old Robin Arnett of Carolina Beach are charged. The new Hanover County Board of Commissioners has unanimously approved a $508 million balanced budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. The budget takes effect July 1st and includes a 2-cent decrease in the property tax rate from 47.5 cents to 45.5 cents per $100 value. More than 28% of the county's $421 million general fund is allotted to support new Hanover County schools. And Wilmington City Council will vote on its budget tonight after an agenda briefing yesterday. They talked about how to expand the local tax base without raising taxes. City staff says one way to do that would use a new GIS map tool. The map identifies vacant properties within county and city limits which could be better used or developed. Staff says there's not much room to expand within the county limits. They identified more than 3,000 parcels of land that could be developed within the area's limits, but most of them are very small. UNCW and other North Carolina universities are making it easier for military students to earn college credit for their training. The UNC system will form a database that permits military-affiliated students and university personnel to quickly determine the appropriate credit and apply it accordingly. Awarded credits will be course-specific, allowing students to finish their degrees while using VA benefits. The regulation applies to all 16 universities in the UNC system, which serves more than 21,000 veterans and active duty personnel. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
I'm meteorologist Matthew Huddleston with your WWAY Storm Track 3 AccuWeather forecast. Expect a very nice end to your Monday evening. Mostly clear skies, but warmer overnight than it was last night. Lows tonight only in the middle and upper 60s. We'll add a few more clouds to the mix heading into the day on Tuesday. Partly cloudy skies during your afternoon. A very small chance of a scattered shower or storm. Otherwise, a lot warmer with highs in the middle to upper 80s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
I'm a boat builder. It's a tough job that takes time, patience, and precision. It's also incredibly rewarding. How many people can say they built a boat from scratch? In our area, there's a great need for people who can build and repair boats. I turned my love for life on the water into a career that I truly enjoy. I went to CFCC for 2 years, got my training, and now I look forward to work every day. You can too. Visit cfcc.edu/boatbuilding and get started today.
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to program whenever you want, however you want by asking for Big Talker.
Oh, just in time. Look at that. No. Oh, man, look. See, you're supposed to be over there. There it is. Just having a lot of new toys to work with and, sort of getting used to it. It's kind of like when you get a new car, right? And the reverse is in a different spot. So each time you sit down, you kind of have to think through it. Or, like at Bald Head Island on the way back, forgot which, wasn't my car, somebody else was driving, forgot which side of the car, because he's got like 5 cars. He wasn't sure where the gas tank was. Hey, I need to put a little more gas in here, and I'm not sure where it goes. So we're going to just guess, I guess, well, we figured it out, obviously. But, when you get that first car, and the first time, in fact, there was a lady at a gas station here shortly after I moved into the house in the area. Nice new car, had no idea where to put the gas into it. Well, we found where to put the gas into it, but we couldn't figure out how to open the door. And the car was literally so brand new, the paper was still on the floor, right? So I said, hey, does this car have a manual? Flip, 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 flip. Oh, look, you push it. There was no release. It was, you have to get used to something new. This is completely, well, it's not completely new. I've owned the equipment for quite some time that I'm integrating. However, I've not used it in this capacity. Normally, I'm mixing live bands. Most of which are like, I can't hear myself. Why do I sound like crap? Well, you sound like crap is that answer is its own. But everything else is, yeah, you're fine. Sounds great to me. Right? The fact that you're having trouble with it has nothing to do with what we're doing. 180,000 words in the English language. How many of them do you know? The personal development of a usable working vocabulary is usually a good indicator of where that person is in their life, what it is they're doing, and what it is that's working for them. You can tell by the type of language they use, and if they use the same phrase, like, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, at the end of the day. Right? I've done so many podcasts where I can predict what the person is going to say. Because they have such a limited ability to express, right? Now, when something extreme happens immediately right away, like how many people have watched a video of something, maybe a crane falling down or a car wreck or maybe the fireworks explosion factory blow up thingy in Florida, or where was that, China? Right? Usually the expressions are going to be limited to 4-letter words that the FCC have banned from air. So that's almost predictable, but when it comes to other conversations, right, you're trying to impart some wisdom to somebody and you're using the same ridiculous phrase each and every time. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I find it difficult to extend any sort of intellectual credit to these people. Now, our politicians have speech writers that have the ability, if somehow, it's called a thesaurus actually, to sort of spice up what it is that they're reading so it's not the same 5 words at the end of the day, right? So if you're listening to podcasts and the guest or the host are using the same phraseology show after show after show, that's probably not someone who's going to, impart great wisdom. They don't even have it themselves. And the use of that language usually comes across as, being effective, being thoughtful. At least that's my approach, right? So there are times that I am opining and there are times that I am pontificating. There are times that I am humble. There are times I am the profligate. These words are useful. These words help us understand context and connotation, which is why I took a moment to stop with some of the stupid and address some of the terms like weapon. Weapon is, again, a pronoun, usually used after the fact. Once something happened, they will refer to whatever was used as the weapon. The weapon can be a shard of glass. It could be a pencil. It could be a pair of scissors. It could be a shank. I mean, just look at prison. A firearm is not necessarily needed to act out, as we discovered in Texas earlier this show, where the guy went in and smashed over $5 million worth of stuff. Because he was mad at his girl. Where the real error is in the fact that he thinks he owns the girl. Right? So that would be the first error. Right? So this mental midget obviously needs to come up with some sort of solution of his own. Or at least be called out on the fact that it's not a possession. She. Whatever your significant other. And that's going to be the first red flag, right? We keep calling these red flags and all these other issues when it's really a reaction or a response, a natural response to the environment in which these people are. If you feel insignificant and, tiny and useless in reality, chances are you're taking something personally you don't mean to, or whatever. That's why I was very excited to come across a blog post. I mean, the interview is 20-something years old, but the concept hit hard, man. He was talking about a platonic reality, a platonic relationship with reality. And I didn't get a chance to expound on it enough yesterday, so I shall today. We all now know where the Ukraine is on planet Earth, yes? But you've never been there. In your mind, you have created something of a topographical schema or representation of the planet. And on there you have a blob of red that you call Russia and a blob of blue and gold that you call Ukraine in your head. What's interesting is the dirt on the ground, the grass on the ground, the trees there are very similar to trees and grass and ground found in many other parts of the planet, including right here in the good old US of A. But to represent, because you can't hold Ukraine in your mind, either by people, politics, economics, GDP, any of these aspects of what you consider your knowledge of Ukraine to be. You have a platonic representation. You have a relationship with that information. But the reality is the grass is still on the ground that you've never seen, right? North, south, east, and west. These are constructs that help us orient ourselves on our planet. But those constructs are completely empty once we leave the Earth. Therefore, we have to develop a new platonic relationship with reality so that we can manage it for ourselves, either in conversation as well as in transport. Right? Flying around the country in an airplane seems like an everyday thing to do, but that flight number is representative of what it is to be a passenger on an airplane. So your direct relationship with reality is actually a minor part of it all. That's the actual going through the wind, right? And that's why I think it's very, very important. I would consider it an important part of education to prepare for your next. We do this for our children, right? As we change gears, say we have kids and they're on a play date and we're all having fun and the moms are drinking wine and it's about time to go. It's about a half hour to go before leaving. And effective parenting would introduce the child to that transition early. Hey, we're going to be leaving soon. Make sure you go to the bathroom. Make sure you put the toys away, and make sure you thank your friend. You give them 3 tasks associated with it. And then you're going to revisit those tasks over the next 10 minutes gently, so that when you do leave, the child has gone to the bathroom, has put all the toys away, and has thanked their host. We need to learn how to do this on a more open basis, right? Here's what's going to happen. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what's happening. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's going to come next. So that way it's not a surprise. It's not a scare. And it develops in the child a preparation. For example, when it is time for me to leave to go to work, I make sure I have everything that I need. And as I'm knowing that I need to leave at, say, 1 in the afternoon, I am checking myself up until noon to make sure that everything is on task, right? Maybe I need to get my laundry done. Maybe I need to take care of other things before I can go on this gig. That preparation puts me in the mindset that I am more aware of what's going on. I'm not panicked. I'm not running behind. I'm not forgetting anything. I'm not scatterbrained. I'm not off balance. So now if something unusual happens, somebody breaking into a bank or breaking into my car or my neighbor's car, I am more fully prepared to be present to answer that situation. I don't have in my own head, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for work. Oh my gosh, where are my keys? Oh my gosh. No. You're prepared. You have your stuff prepped. Everything that you need is in the car. You're ready to go. Now you need to pivot and take care of something. Maybe it's a traffic jam that had you not been prepared would make you even later than you would be because you weren't prepared in the first place, right? This is one of the tricks about ground school when learning to be a pilot. I'll probably never be a pilot at this point. I'm far too old and broke. But a lot of the concepts transfer, right? They're parallel. They're great ideas for living. One of them is to look ahead of you in time, not necessarily in distance. Meaning, when you're flying an airplane, you're traveling so fast that your distances can be measured in time, meaning it might be 300 miles to the next waypoint, right, where you have to fly over a checkpoint and let ground control know where you are so everybody's on the same page, right? Well, that's 1 hour away. 15 miles is like, 5 minutes. And at 300 miles an hour, moving in a straight line is not a problem. It's that turning. It's the changing of your direction. The vector, if you will, is what causes problems. Too high a vector, and the wings get snapped off the aircraft. So obviously, some planning goes into it. So pilots are trained to look ahead in time to make sure they have enough time to respond to anything that would happen. You don't want to be making last-minute extreme maneuvers in a massive jetliner, okay? So those same qualities, those same mental preparedness tricks, if you will, those skills, apply when driving, when applying just to preparing for your day. They have checklists for everything. And we all know the trick that, I've got a shopping list. It's right there on the kitchen table waiting for me while I'm here at the store. We're trying to remember what was on the list. That would be another thing. When you start working on this preparedness, which is good for me because I'm horrible in a lot of aspects, that if I don't have my stuff dialed up and ready ahead of time, I could easily drop or forget something, and so to prevent that, I try to make sure that everything is in its place, right? Everything's ready to go so that when I'm driving and I have at least 30 seconds, well, actually 15 to 30 seconds of openness at some point around me. And I'm watching when people are coming into that environment so that I can get away from them should I need to. A lot of this would eliminate the surprise aspect, right? You'll still be surprised, but you won't be startled, I guess would be the term. Because if you're fully surprised, you are incapable of responding with any effectiveness. Ask any Army guy who's been in an ambush. But if your head's on a swivel and you've already packed and you're set and you know that what you have is good to go, when something unusual happens and tries to surprise you, ambush you, etc., you are already prepared. You know where your stuff is and how to get to it, right? A lot of people who do carry, have concealed carry or whatever else, they have arrangements and situations so that they can get to their weapon, to their firearm, quickly, easily, and safely. This is also true just when preparing food or preparing a trip. Anytime that something is that you need to do is about to happen, the preparation beforehand is more important than the actual event. And this is where this cat was talking about the platonic relationship with reality. So every time that I go to do a gig, for example, tomorrow night for the Voice and Pen, it's a very large, stressful event, but I've already done all the work in my head. I've already had the entire show produced in my head. I know what I need. I know what's involved. I'm prepared for this so that when I'm packing for the day, I'm actually holding the equipment, which is now my physical interaction with reality. But in my head, the representation of what this item does, where it belongs, when I need it, where I need it, that's all the platonic relationship that I have a representation. And this is why I think that education should be a lot more than just reading, writing, and arithmetic. Because it wasn't until my 20s that math was really explained to me in a way that should have been explained to me when I was 5. Math is a representation for that which cannot be done by hand, if that makes sense. And this guy took it back to math being the outgrowth of necessity in the market. We didn't really have money. We might have had some coins or whatever, but for the most part, the world ran on barter system. But we had to keep track of what it is we were bartering. So the old-fashioned, scritch, cross, scritch, where you do groups of 5, because we have 5 fingers, so we tend to count in groups of 5, 10, 20, etc. That's completely natural. That's a relationship with reality, the direct relationship, because we have fingers. So when I'm counting fish, I am representing one fish as one digit. Digit, by the way, part of digital actually means finger. I don't know if you knew that, but now you do. So the digit 1 represents one thing. In this case, that thing is a fish. If I hold up all 5 fingers representing 5 fish, that is my platonic relationship with reality, because holding the 5 fish is not a pleasant experience to me. But I need to hold the knowledge. I need to hold the understanding, the representation of those 5 fish, so that when I'm trading it to somebody else for some bread or something else, right? I can say 5. I can hold up 5 fingers. You don't need to know the language. Our mutual base understanding of a platonic relationship with reality allows me to point to the fish, hold 5 fingers, and point to your loaf of bread and hold 5 fingers, that I will give you 5 fish for 5 bread. No language necessary. All done by a platonic relationship with a common reality between the two of us. That's all language is. So whether you're speaking Ukrainian or speaking Russian or speaking French or German or Italian or Portuguese or Mexican, Spanish, right? Or English, whether it's hot English in the UK or you're speaking American English right here where we enjoy our good tacos. We have Taco Tuesday. The language is just a way of communicating this platonic reality that we share. You don't see blue the way I see blue. There's no way to do that. But we have agreed in our common reality to have a platonic relationship with what we agree is blue. My eyes might be more sensitive to the red spectrum and I see less blue and more red, or maybe I'm more sensitive to the blue and I see more blue than I see, or whatever. You get the idea. The common element between us has to be agreed upon, and that's how we get a platonic relationship with reality that we can work with, a construct of the reality around us. It's impossible. It's very, very difficult for us to relate to reality. And that's the whole purpose for this entire rant. For example, you and I do not know what it's like to experience 60 miles an hour into a brick or concrete wall. Some of us have. But you cannot say that you understand crashing into a wall at 60 miles an hour until you have crashed into a wall at 60 miles an hour. Then that reality is part of your experience. But within a month after the accident, you are recalling the accident, and you now call into your reality the platonic relationship with your experience. Because you can't really re-experience crashing into a wall at 60 miles an hour without revving up your car and crashing into a wall at 60 miles an hour. But we can relate to the platonic relationship, to the platonic reality, that I don't need to crash a car at 60 miles an hour to have a platonic understanding that this is a bad thing. And I can describe what elements would be bad, right? The impact on the body, the impact on the car, the amount of energy that's being expended from the back of the car to the front of the car. Objects of motion tend to remain in motion even though the front of the car has been stopped by the concrete barrier. The rest of the car is still moving. When you're in that reality, you may not see that or feel that or experience that because it's a little outside of what your brain is able to handle at that moment. But afterwards, when you're outside the car, say, looking at it from a security camera, or in the case of Mythbusters, right, you got a high-speed camera. Now you can look at it with a platonic, emotionless awareness of what's happening. And that's the issue. We have no ability, we have no education in place to teach us how to handle that difference between our reality and our perceived reality. How do we correct our platonic understanding of reality? Because we trick ourselves, like this guy in Brazil who thought he owned his girlfriend, or the guy at the Dallas Museum of Art, where he thought his girl, right, his possession was acting in a manner he did not like. There's the problem. His understanding of relationship is not something he fully understands, a relationship of which he is a part of. The platonic understanding of that relationship, or of any relationship, is that each person is an individual and there is no ownership. That's the first fallacy in what happened in this guy's brain. He was not educated with any sort of tool or guide or process by which he can control or manage how this feels or his reaction to what he is experiencing. This is as much a part of education as adding 5 fish and 5 loaves of bread. So I prefer that math as part of education is underwhelmingly delivered. The importance of representation. Our entire governmental structure in the United States of America is based on representation. But if we don't understand the concept of representation at every level, right? When you buy a bag of socks, do you need to open the package and count every sock? Do you need to open the package to make sure that they are socks and not mittens? Your understanding, your relationship with this type of math would allow you to say, here's a pack of socks, I'm good to go. Now, the reality of the dryer eating a sock is a bit trickier. But as long as you have the understanding that dryers tend to eat socks, there are steps you can take to mitigate that effect. But without that relationship with reality, that is not a direct reality, but a platonic reality, right? You're able to look at it in a sterile, momentary, it's a brain exercise, but it's one of the most effective that we have. We take in so much information that we are unable to process it all with any efficiency. So our brain tends to dismiss a lot of things just because it's mundane and doesn't directly affect us. It does not threaten us. It does not benefit us. It's, car horn in the distance, a dog barking, right? These are sounds that under different circumstances would have our attention heightened. This is how magicians and illusionists do their thing. This is also the same way a lot of policy gets written and slid through without anybody noticing. Because while you're busy looking at the left hand, the right hand is writing up something else that gets slipped through, nobody notices. So having a more robust platonic relationship with reality so that we can look at these representations with and for what they are. Now you can look at things like Dominion voting machines in a greater sense of what they are, and it's not the machine, it's the people talking about the machines. Now you have a halo effect. Now this halo effect, if you will, where everybody's talking about something but not actually working with something. Does that make sense? All the people yelling about the Dominion voting machines, bitching about the Dominion voting machines, have never touched one, have never worked with one, have never opened one up, have never operated one, never changed the batteries or wrote the code. So they don't have a real relationship. They have a distant and dysfunctional relationship, platonic relationship with that reality. And the same is going to be true for firearms. Again, the firearm is an inert piece of metal with one design to send a projectile at the greatest efficiency possible. Period. The halo effect is when everybody's yelling about the guns, many of which may have them, many of which may not have them themselves, but they hire people who do have them to protect them from the other people who have them. See what I mean now? We got a halo effect with a very dysfunctional disconnect between the platonic relationship of the firearm and the reality of the firearm. The dysfunctional platonic relationship is when you are able to say things like guns are bad. We need to ban guns. We need to ban this type of gun. We need to do this to that type of... No. That's all halo effect. The firearm itself is not a problem. The problem is the humans. Because now the gun or the firearm has become a central pivot point for the two sides to argue platonic dysfunction. The real issue is not the firearm. The real issue is the usage of this tool by these types of people, or this individual as a case by case basis. But I would contend, I will parallel that for every person who has acted out by using a firearm, there are at least 10 or 15 people with the same mental disconnect that are either drug addicts or thieves or rapists, right? Or gambling addicts or sex addicts or con art, any number of these things are all common in that they are acting out on a dysfunctional relationship with reality. This is a function of education. If we are unable to teach how to use our brains to greater efficiency, then we should just not do it. Don't waste their time. Don't waste our money. Our education system should be more inclusive, not necessarily that we learn about how to sex, but that we develop an understanding, a healthy, platonic understanding of how biology works in the human genome, how it works in our society, how it works for us as an animal. Just like it works for deer, just like it works for dogs, cats. A little bit differently for egg-laying animals like amphibians and birds, right? Even more distant in concept to things like trees and flowers and, come on. So maybe instead of trying to teach reality, we teach a healthy relationship with a platonic understanding of reality. Therefore, the concept of representation becomes more inherent. It's 15 miles to the Love Shack. You have no idea what 15 miles is. But in your head, at 60 miles an hour, 15 miles will get you, you will be there in 15 minutes. If you don't know how to do that math, I am sorry. You need to go back to your school system and say, you guys failed me, but you have to take responsibility for it yourself, because chances are you had run away from the school, were smoking pot in the corner, some barrio somewhere. And that's why books were so important back in the 40s. We didn't have somebody spoon-feeding an alternate reality to us, whether you call it the MCU, right, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have all these different universes. But we don't understand inherently that this is a representation, right? Books back in the day, we didn't have the movies, right? So when you're reading Grapes of Wrath, the reality being constructed by the author is meant for the reader to observe, and from that, identify those relationships, both dysfunctional and functional, with a platonic and with a direct reality. Direct reality is that you put food into your body and then you have to use the toilet. The dysfunctional relationship with a platonic reality is that talking about this is gross or whatever. You see what I'm saying? It's something that every creature on this planet has to do. Every creature on this planet goes through the process of taking in food and excreting waste. To make it even more gross, there are other creatures that live on that waste and excrete their own waste. And when stuff dies, there are creatures that live on the dead flesh or dead stuff, right? Adipocere, whatever else. Our inability to talk about it does not change that reality. Death still feeds more creatures than life does. The fact that we have a dysfunctional, unhealthy relationship with that platonic reality is our fault. It is our educational fault. This is why we can do stupid rhetoric and use campaign slogans which turn out to be more effective than actually having a debate and discussing the issues, because we do not have a healthy relationship with those issues. We do not have an understanding, but we do understand 4 words. Make America great again. That does absolutely nothing to help the conversation or to develop a relationship with our reality. And that reality is a lot of people have died in a very short period of time at the hands of some very psychotic people who did not need to be that way. These are the extreme examples of a dysfunctional relationship with a platonic reality. And to them, just like this guy in Brazil or the jackhole in Dallas, they become the center of the universe. And as such, they have no way to process situations that they don't understand, that they are incapable of processing. His girl, you see what I'm saying? His is implying some sort of ownership, but now back up. Let's go back to the Commission on Women's Health that didn't have a single woman in the room. If you want to talk about a systemic issue, this is it. This dysfunctional relationship with reality explains everything from a drug addiction to misogyny to Madison Cawthorn. Had these people been taught with a greater emphasis on an effective, healthy relationship with reality and the representation of reality, they wouldn't have such a warped sense in their mind. Right? There's a reason why mushrooms grow in the dark when fed bullshit. Same thing happens in the human mind. If they are not equipped from the educational point of view, from their young years, to have a healthy relationship with reality and a platonic understanding of reality. Because again, I need to go to the store and buy 5 fish. I'm carrying the representation of 5 fish in my head. When I go to the store and I look at the fish, I can now say reality is 5 fish will feed my family. My healthy platonic understanding of reality guides me to select 5 fish that I feel fit the bill the best. An unhealthy relationship with reality would tell me that those 5 fish are mine anyway, and I'm just going to take them. A healthy relationship with platonic reality would allow me to realize that these 5 fish represented here in my head were caught by someone, that there is a story to where this fish came from. Not only this fish individual story hatching from an egg and swimming around and becoming stronger and eating stuff and becoming bigger, and now he's on my plate. An unhealthy relationship with reality would allow a madman with any sort of object that could be used as a weapon to go out and do so because they feel that this is going to fix something within themselves. That's an unhealthy relationship, that the internal and the external are connected. A lot of people are, they lose their minds because they do not feel like they are respected at a level, or that, TikTokers, once they start losing viewers and they snap, there's got to be 20 or 30 videos online about that, right? Where a YouTuber starts losing their popularity and they become unglued because they have based their sense of reality, not a platonic sense of reality, but they are basing their own sense in reality on that number. So our education system is to blame for everything. And it's not the education system as it is now, the people involved. It is the situation of the education system as it is designed. Many people like to call it, or as I'll even quote Andrew, they like to refer to it as a babysitting jobs program or daycare center. What it's supposed to be is the safe place where we can explore that which we don't understand or may find uncomfortable. And the more that we can actually address the discomfort in a safe place where we have different viewpoints, different platonic relationships, or different relationships with a platonic reality, and the people experiencing that reality. I'm white. There have been times that my being white in an environment created a reality that was very uncomfortable to people. However, since I was educated, or outside of school, to understand this, I was able to de-escalate and de-awkwardify awkwardness, right? Reduce the awkwardness by saying, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to hide, I'm not going to try and fit in, but I am going to be open to hearing what you have to say about your reality, and to see if I can't integrate some of that into my own reality, into my own understanding of reality, and if there's something I can do to help. Whether it's addressing a friend of mine by saying, hey man, you can't really call your girlfriend your girl when you get mad, because she's not. She's not your possession. That's your car, and that is the girl that you have that you are in a relationship with. With would put it more on an equal term. Representation, right? These words are important. That's my wife. That's my car. That's my kitchen. That's my house. My wife is something that we have done to ourselves. And maybe I'm going a little too far with that sense of possession, because it is hard to refer to the other person in your relationship without referring to yourself in that relationship. My wife, my husband, my significant other, my partner. But in a lot of ways, it still crosses that line, certainly when we replace another word. Like instead of my wife, it's my girl. So now I have reduced this person from a standing of being my equal and my wife to a possession of somebody inferior to me. That is an unhealthy relationship with a platonic reality. That's the beauty of what this man's answer is that his answer was all about math, but it applies to everything, and he showed it. And the question that he was presented with is, did we invent math or did we discover math? What we discovered is our limitation of measurement and understanding, right? So Copernicus and Newton and Einstein represent three phases of physical reality, whereby our accuracy improved. When Copernicus took us away from a geocentric universe into a heliocentric universe, the accuracy of things like comets and orbital periods and star planetary motion, etc., became a lot more accurate. And once we moved away from a heliocentric into a universal centric, like with Isaac, we started, he had to describe what he understood by inventing a new type of mathematical language called calculus. So we didn't invent math. We just had to discover the language to describe the events happening, which fall under the category of math. You can't hold a mile in your hand or in your head, but you can hold the representation for a mile in your head. If that representation is inaccurate, you will walk a lot further than you meant to, or you will walk right past what you meant to. Having a healthy relationship with a platonic reality allows us to gauge what is really trying to happen, what is trying to affect me, what is trying to affect my behavior, what is trying to affect my decisions. If I have a healthy relationship with platonic reality, then I can entertain any of these options that are presented to me. From the most outlandish left-handed bird to the right-winged bird, doesn't matter. Because I can now filter all that information through my understanding of my platonic relationship. My relationship with a platonic reality. I am not intimately connected to that reality. We're all connected to a reality, right? We all have to breathe air. We all have to drink water. We all have to eat. We all have to poop. Getting away from the discomfort, the awkward, that's what our education system should be doing as much as teaching us about math, etc. And I would even propose that if we spend more time concentrating education from the early ages on this platonic relationship with reality, the more education will become effective for the type of education we are currently doing now. That is, reading, writing, and arithmetic will become inherent. They won't be dictated or mandated that you must read these books and these books are off the shelf. You can't read these books. You can't read To Kill a Mockingbird because it makes your parents uncomfortable. Well, maybe we need to take the parents into these same classes and say, look, you need to learn how to deal with being uncomfortable. You have to learn how to help your child deal with being uncomfortable without having some sort of extreme reaction. That's going to save us a lot of lives. It's going to improve our company, our country. It's going to improve everything from homelessness to drug addiction to suicide rates to murder rates. All of this is going to go away all on its own if we can impart to our children a more healthy relationship with a platonic reality. That we teach children to not take things internally or internalize things so quickly. To limit the access to our emotions. As Bruce Lee said, if I can manipulate you with a couple of words, that means anybody can control you with a couple of words. And that doesn't matter if somebody calls you a pronoun that you disagree of. As we learned in the Matrix, it's just a word. What makes the word so important or makes the word have effect on you that's your relationship. That's your responsibility. And the best way to learn how to exercise that, right, like at a band rehearsal, you don't make your mistakes live. You make them in the rehearsal. You work them out there so that when you go to do the performance, the 4 or 5, however many of you, are a united front. You have a prepared show. If it's just 5 guys that know how to play really well and you just throw them up there, it may not be too bad. But there's going to be a lot of times where they're crashing because there was no communication ahead of time. There was no relationship. There was no representation of what's going to happen when and where. If everybody just starts playing at once and they're not playing the same song, they're not even in the same key, they're not even tuned to the same notes, you can't expect a positive experience. Do that 330.7 million times and you have what is currently America, United States of. There are other countries that have much higher death rates as a result of firearms, as was pointed out. A lot of them in Latin America, South American countries. They may have less guns than we do, but they have a more, how would you say, broken education system than our own. So maybe, instead of trying to arm the teachers, which I think is also ludicrous and ridiculous, I don't care about the pilot program, that's whatever. What we need to do is change how we educate children from age 6 on. Because every last one of these people, whether they're a drug addict, whether they're homeless, whether they're a criminal breaking into houses and stealing stuff, or they're shooters, murderers, poisoners, or whatever, even suicides, all of this can be addressed if we teach our children how to have a healthy relationship with a platonic reality. To separate that what is personal from what is common. Making fun of somebody who poops is ridiculous because we all poop. It's actually a funny subject because we all do it. It's as funny as Jell-O. We all giggle at the jiggle because it's a common experience. The more common it is, the greater the effect we can have when our platonic relationships coincide. That's why Bill Cosby's bits on Jell-O were just so hilarious and worked so well without ever using a cuss word or anything being, double entendre or sexually connotated or anything of that nature. It is possible to have a healthy relationship with a platonic reality which would enhance our own experience within reality. Another example, a rainbow. If you understand what a rainbow is outside of the Sky Daddy book, you understand that at 42 degrees of angle of incidence from your eyeball to the water drop that's being hit by light that's coming from behind you, you will have a rainbow. But it makes it no less beautiful, no less magical, if you will, because it is, to me, absolutely magical to be standing in that spot, to know that 42 degrees to my left, 42 degrees to my right, 42 degrees up, and anywhere along that arc, I am going to see the rainbow. Sky Daddy book has all this beautiful write about it, and all of these different social groups have hijacked the rainbow for their own purposes and advertisements and marketing and donations, and it's all about the money. They can't take away the fact that I find a rainbow extremely beautiful representation of math. I know how a rainbow works. I know about refraction. I know about angles. Knowing that does not diminish the beauty of what it is I am experiencing when that reality occurs. I'm not awe-inspired by it. I'm not thinking, oh, look, there's a pot of gold, or God is smiling on us. No, I happen to be lucky enough to be standing on planet Earth with the sun behind me, looking out at 42 degrees on an arc and seeing the rainbow. Because the prism of water, the refraction, has split the light. I can see the light as a result of it. It does not take away the beauty. It enhances my understanding. And I don't carry that rainbow as some sort of personal message. No, the rainbow is a physical response to light and water in our atmosphere. Deal with it. And deal with the fact that our education system has absolutely nothing to do with teaching our children. To do that, we're going to have to get serious about what education is. And until we can do that, we're done. There's nothing we can do to fix that. And with that in mind, how wonderful and uplifting that may feel, I have to end another day here at the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. So we will catch you tomorrow and see if we can't come up with more outlandish theories right here on the Asylum. Stay tuned. The Consumer Choice and all the other cool stuff. I'll just shut up. Man, enjoy the show. Bye.
Keeping Whiteville informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Herd Tell every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7